Welcome, dear viewers. Today's story is one that will grip you from the very first line, a tale of love, deception, and a race against time that could change everything you thought you knew about trust. Sit tight, because what you are about to read will pull at your heartstrings and keep you on the edge of your seat until the very last word. It all began on a quiet evening, the kind that felt ordinary and safe. Emily was scrolling through her phone on the couch, while Mark, her husband of 7 years, was fidgeting with the edge of his coffee mug, his eyes clouded with something she couldn't quite place. She had seen him stressed before, tired from work or lost in thought, but tonight was different. Tonight, he looked small, almost fragile, the kind of vulnerability she rarely witnessed. I don't think I can keep doing this, he whispered, his voice barely audible. Emily looked up, puzzled. Doing what? She asked, assuming it was just work stress again. Mark hesitated. Life, everything. I feel like I'm drowning, Emily. And I don't know how to surface. She laughed, softly at first, then louder, dismissively, almost cruelly. Mark, come on. You always say this. You're dramatic. Usually, he would have let it slide. Usually, he would have smiled, deflected, and gone back to his coffee. But tonight, something inside him snapped. His eyes, normally gentle and warm, hardened with a quiet resolve. He stood up, grabbed his notebook from the side table, and scribbled something in it with deliberate strokes. Without another word, he walked out of the house, the door clicking shut behind him. Emily froze. For a moment, she thought it was a joke. But when curiosity got the better of her, she picked up the notebook and opened it. The pages were blank, except for one line, written in his familiar hand. You'll understand when I'm gone. A shiver ran down her spine. The words felt final, chilling, and yet somehow deliberate. She laughed nervously, thinking he was just being dramatic again. But the unease in her chest refused to fade. By the next morning, the reality hit her like a punch to the gut. Mark hadn't just left emotionally. He had vanished. His job had been resigned, his parents called and told he was taking a trip, and his phone location was turned off. Every trace of his presence erased, as if he had been swallowed by the earth itself. Emily's laughter died in her throat, replaced by a rising panic. Frantically, she began reviewing their conversations over the past 6 months. Messages she had dismissed as trivial suddenly took on ominous meanings. The missed calls, the vague replies, the late-night walks he claimed were for fresh air, they were all pieces of a puzzle she hadn't realized existed. And as she traced the breadcrumbs, a terrifying thought formed. Mark wasn't just leaving. He was trying to protect her from something she hadn't seen. Or maybe, from someone. Her heart raced as she realized the subtle warning signs she had ignored. The financial irregularities he had mentioned, the strange deliveries he had received, and the mysterious man she had seen once at a cafe near his office. It was all connected, she was sure of it now. And time was running out. Determined, Emily packed a small bag, grabbing his notebook as her only clue. She called his best friend, who seemed as clueless as she was, and then drove through the city, chasing every lead, retracing every step he had taken in the past month. Each corner, each cafe, each street felt like a potential revelation, and every moment heightened the suspense, the fear, the desperation clawing at her. Hours later, she arrived at an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, guided by cryptic notes Mark had left in his notebook. The air was thick with dust and tension, but something about this place screamed finality. Her hands trembled as she opened the heavy metal door, and there, sitting on a wooden crate, was Mark. His face was pale but calm, eyes fixed on hers with an intensity that made her heart skip. "Emily," he said softly, "you shouldn't be here. It's dangerous." "Mark, what's going on? Why did you leave me? Why the notebook? Tell me everything." Her voice cracked with desperation. He sighed, a mix of relief and sadness flooding his features. "I had to disappear, Emily. Not just for me, but for you. There are people, Dangerous people who've been after us, after everything we've built. I've been trying to keep you safe without dragging you into it." Her mind raced, struggling to process his words. Fear, anger, love, and confusion collided inside her. "And the note?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "You'll understand when I'm gone," he said again, his gaze unwavering. "I hoped it would make you stop worrying about me, at least until you found the truth. I had to make sure you weren't in danger while I handled it." Emily's chest tightened. The weight of his actions, the intensity of his love, and the horror of the threats they faced overwhelmed her. She realized, in that moment, that she had underestimated the depth of his courage, and the darkness he had been facing alone. Hours turned into a tense night, as Mark explained the situation fully. A conspiracy involving his work, threats, and people willing to destroy everything to get to him. Emily listened, terrified and in awe, realizing that the man she had laughed at was now a hero in her eyes, risking everything for her safety. By dawn, the immediate danger had passed, thanks to Mark's careful planning and her courage to follow him. They emerged from the warehouse, exhausted but alive, their bond forged stronger through fear and survival. The notebook was closed, but its message lingered in her mind, an eternal reminder of love, sacrifice, and the chilling suspense of life's uncertainties. As they drove back home, Emily held his hand tightly, tears and relief mingling on her face. She whispered softly, "I'll never doubt you again. You'll always be my hero." And viewers, that's the story of a man who risked everything silently, leaving behind a single line that held a lifetime of meaning. Remember, life can be unpredictable, love can be tested in unimaginable ways, and sometimes the ones we underestimate hold the greatest courage. Thank you for reading. May your days be filled with awareness, love, and the courage to face the unexpected. And may you never underestimate the power of a single word, or the heart that writes it.